Okay, what's going on in this morning's papers? Welcome to the Paper Round, where we cover everything story-wise, going through the tabloids on the Sunday morning. The Sunday morning papers are always the best, aren't they? So get your comments in on everything we're talking about here. We're starting, obviously, with the England setup and what is going on. Players that are involved, players significantly that aren't involved. I'll start, actually, with Jack Grealish, the fall from grace. Jack Grealish. That is a story going around the tabloids today, and him actually being not just completely out of the fray and out of contention around the England setup right now, but also his career at Manchester City. Not featuring, hitting that certain age. Was Jack Grealish better at Aston Villa than he was at Manchester City? Was this the perfect example of a mistake by a player going? And you could argue the point, look, Jack Grealish won trophies for Manchester City. He won the bleeding treble. He's got Premier League medal. He's got Champions League medal. He's got FA Cup. He's got everything that a player could want. But has his career gone down the swanny? Has he ruined his career going to Manchester City? Because you can say, yeah, you've got all of the medals under the sun, and when you're showing your family and your kids and everything later on in life, look at all of this that have won. He got caps while he was caps for England while he was at Manchester City, and he did contribute in a couple of seasons at Manchester. He changed his whole game around to fit into Pep, but was it 2 seasons and that's it? 2 seasons and out for Jack Grealish? Because let's be honest, he's not doing much now. He's not featuring for England. He's not in a position where I think he can go to Pep and say, look, let's bring it in. Let's look to the future of this football club right now. The future of Pep Guardiola looks uncertain. The future of Jack Grealish looks even more uncertain. I think he's gone. I think he will leave in the summer, looking at all of the reports and everything going on. But he has, I feel, more than anybody, been an example of someone going into a Pep-style team and having to change everything that he is. He cannot and did not play the way. Look, he did get to grips with it, but the intensity and what Pep wants from his players, I just think has taken something away from Jack Grealish's game. And that star that he was at Aston Villa, where he was the top man, I think that suited him better. I just want to ask that question and gauge where everybody's at with it, because some will say, no, look, he's won all of these medals, he's done well. And some will say, yeah, I can see what you're actually saying here, because he doesn't seem to be talked about as much. He doesn't look like the Jack Grealish of old. He hasn't got that flair, he hasn't got that dynamism, that charisma that he used to carry when he was at Aston Villa. The lads, the tag that was always put onto Jack Grealish. I just don't see it now with Manchester City. And I think his career is just petering off, like just going away. I think he needs to move. I think he needs one big last hurrah somewhere else, Jack Grealish, where we can go and play Jack Grealish football that was scaring everybody, which was why Manchester City spent £100 million on him. Was that value for money? Well, City would argue, yeah, because look at everything that we've won with him in the side. And you could obviously cover that up with it. But deep down, if you're a football purist and a football lover, you look at Jack Grealish at City and you would say, I don't think so. I don't think he has been the same player. I don't think he has been able to show his real quality in a Pep Guardiola side. And then that brings in all of the comments about Pep Guardiola football. Has he ruined football and things like that? In harnessing these players into a system that he wants really is killing off what their main attribute was and why they became so famous and good in the game. And the reason that City spent £100 million on Grealish was because of what he did at Villa. But we haven't really seen that consistently at Manchester City. And now we're coming to the end. When you look at Jack Grealish's career, you will say, yes, great career. But is the end of it really what people are going to be talking about? He's disappeared. He's absolutely disappeared. Yeah, won the title last year, but we know that that's Pep Guardiola that's winning them titles. He's bringing in all of these quality players and making them work. I think it has tired at Manchester City, and the players are struggling to carry on with that demand of what he wants from his team. But I think a lot of them players now, we're seeing the back end of them, and they haven't been moved on. One thing that City have always been good with is moving players on at the right time. And I think a prime example of City was bringing Gundogan back this season and seeing a player like that just completely fall short of what is necessary to challenge for a title in the Premier League right now. Gundogan back, the fall off of Grealish, Kevin De Bruyne not being fully available, Bernardo Silva aging, Phil Foden's form falling away. Everything at Manchester City shouts out right now, the end of an era. That's not me as a United fan saying this, but you have to look. They're out of the Champions League in their earliest stage for I think a decade. finishing in the round of 16 to Real Madrid. They're out of the title race. Gone. The two big trophies that they've been famous for winning for years are now gone and out of the way. They've got the FA Cup to play for. That's it. They are now just a Champions League challenging side. All of a sudden, bang, like that, from the peak, gone. And I think there's too many players that they haven't moved on at the right time now, and I think they're stuck. Jack Grealish is a prime example of how things have just dropped off at Manchester City. Because in that treble-winning season, Grealish was featuring. Grealish was good. And then he went down a little bit last season. His chances became fewer, and he really didn't hit the numbers that he wanted to. So I look at him as the example of City's decline more than anything. But I think it's down to Pep Guardiola. I do. As good as he has been, and he is one of the best that has ever managed in the Premier League. Yes, that's fair. But I think the style of football has caught up with everybody that he manages and himself. He cannot keep going at this pace and there'll be no fall off. And you can see it. I don't want to talk about his personal life and everything like that, but you can see that that's been affected. You can see that the players have been affected. You can see that City overall, even the players that they're recruiting right now, you're not looking at them players and going, that is prime Manchester City player. It's not. You're not going to find a Kevin De Bruyne. There is no one out there. A Bernardo Silva. Look, I just don't think there is another Bernardo Silva out there. There are good players out there. Don't get me wrong. I think Marmoush is an excellent signing for City, but he's a striker. And he's a backup, I think. I think he replaces Alvarez, and that was the mistake that they made in the summer in not replacing Alvarez for me. I think that's what they should have done in the summer, and that's just an automatic replacement for him. He's second to the beast that is Erling Haaland. Jack Grealish can't even get in this side anymore, it would seem, and is an example of burnout, in my opinion. And then you've got the aging players on top of that. Gundogan coming back, that was always a mistake. Never go back. Ederson's leaving this summer as well, the goalkeeper that really turned Manchester City around. All of the players are just drifting away. You can't convince me that Gonzalez is better than Rodri. Like, Rodri is a massive miss for them. And they've always managed to replace players, but I think this season was the first time that they haven't managed to move players on and replaced them with adequate. Like, Rodri came in, Fernandinho's era ended. Look, they replaced the likes of Vincent Kompany with the likes of Diaz coming in as well. Great signings, great replacements. You look at Bernardo Silva, he replaced David Silva. Eventually, they did replace Kun Aguero with Haaland. It took them a little bit longer than what expected, but they have managed to always replace their star players. But look at this current crop. Look at Grealish, look at De Bruyne, look at Bernardo Silva and Rodri. I know he's still going to come back and play because he's only injured, but still, it just goes to show there isn't that second wave of Manchester City great players coming through right now. And I think the example is, and I think someone's made a great comment there. Where was it now? Just seen it there. Grealish under Sir Alex Ferguson would have been great. That's the exact. Sometimes a manager suits a player. And I think honestly, it's going to be right out there. And you can say that I'm being red-tinted glasses here. And you could say that I'm being biased in what I'm saying. But I feel like Jack Grealish would have been a better player at Manchester United. Even with the crap that was going on. Him personally, I think he would have personally thrived at Manchester United more than he did at Manchester City. And I'm not taking away his achievements. I'm not taking away what Pep's done. I'm just saying, I think certain players, certain clubs fit certain clubs and certain managers. I don't think, and I know that Grealish has bust a gut to try and fit into that Pep Guardiola system. I do believe that he has worked his ass off to try and get in, but I think a player like Jack Grealish needs that freedom to do what he wants. And I think he's been shackled by Pep Guardiola, and I don't think we've seen the best out of him. And I think it's affected his England place. I do. Tuchel's not looking at him because he's not featuring for City. But Jack Grealish can do a job for England. He is one of the best players at holding on to the ball when we need to and not giving the ball away. Look, I don't like the way he plays when he's playing against my team, but I'm not going to sit here and say that Jack Grealish is not a good player. I would have loved him at Manchester United. I think he'd have been brilliant at Manchester United. That charismatic player. And the comment there that said it about Sir Alex Ferguson, never mind Sir Alex Ferguson, I think he would have thrived at Manchester United. I think he would have been a great player at United. And I'm not saying it was wasted. He's won everything there is to win. So credit to him. Well done. Go and celebrate, as I'm sure you would, Jack. But I just think it's a shame that you've got a player that quality now that's just being forgotten about. And that happens in the Premier League at the top level. We've seen it. United have seen it for years. Great players that just seem to just fall away. And you forget about where they moved from the big club. It's like you forgot about where Dwight York went, where Andy Cole went after the great treble-winning side. What happened to these players? Where did they go? Where did Luis Saha go? Do you know what I mean? That's that sort of situation I'm talking about right now. And I think that is Jack Grealish at Manchester City. And I do believe that there would have been more talk about him, and I think he would have featured more in England if he weren't playing for City. And that just my opinion on that one. But hey, look, there is a bit of a fall and a demise, and there's a comment here from Genghis Khan there who says Foden, Rashford, Palmer, all big shots, not hungry enough. The England young players, what's happening to our young stars right now? Look at Rashford and Phil Foden. The story in the papers today, winning team clipped is the story. Winners clipped in Foden and Marcus Rashford. Not playing as good as what Tuchel would want them to play. These should be players that are tearing it apart. And for Tuchel in his first game to come out and realise already that the likes of Foden, the likes of Marcus Rashford are not performing with that England team, it's embarrassing, is what it is. It's really embarrassing. That's another story that's going around here today. But I don't want to talk too much more about Jack Grealish, but I think Jack would do a better job than Phil Foden and Marcus Rashford in that England side. That's all I'm saying. I think he would. And I think because he's at this City side now and Pep's in this whole change around and turning over of a new team and new squad, I think Jack's going to be forgotten about. Just my opinion on that. But that's the worry and that's the concern. And it does look like he is going to be sold by Manchester City this summer. And I think it's the best thing that could happen for Jack Grealish. That's the story going around, that he is going to be sold this summer. I think it's brilliant for him. I do. And I think he will find his feet elsewhere. And I think he will. If he's sold this summer, I think Jack's got a chance of featuring in the World Cup. If he's not, I don't think he's there. That's just my point. Do get your comments in below on the comment section after this video is finished as well. If you're a City fan, let me know if I'm right looking at this from the outside, from a United perspective and a neutral perspective. I am trying to be as honest as I possibly can about this. I just think that he looks lost right now, and I think it's a waste. I think it's a waste of talent. I think he's got more to give. And then you watch Foden, you watch Rashford do what they do. They're guaranteed to get places, and that's what really upsets me, that more than anything, because I feel like I've lost my love for England because of this conveyor belt of this player has to play type of player coming through into the England side. And Tuchel started off and he's gone right into it. Maybe he's fallen right into that trap in thinking that he has to play players that are going to win him a tournament. He's on an 18-month contract. And the talk in all of the papers today and the talk around all of the social media circles is like, it seems weird and it doesn't seem right that you've got a German coming in to manage England in the first place and he's on an 18-month contract just to go and win a tournament. There's no building for the future. There's no younger players coming through. He's just bringing in match winners. You've got a Bellingham, you've got a Kane, you've got a Rashford, you've got a Foden, all players that have done it and scored. Rather than looking to the future, is it the right way to go for England, to be honest? Is that the right plan? We're desperate to win the trophy. Let's just give a manager a chance that's going to come in and bang, win a tournament, then say goodbye to him. This is how we get a trophy. Never mind planning for the future. What about St George's Park? What about the under-21s? It's like they've just ripped that scrapbook up and that idea and thrown it out the window, bringing Tuchel in. Look, I think Tuchel can win as a trophy, but what damage is it going to do to the future? Are we that desperate just to win a trophy rather than giving the right players a chance? Look, if anything, Jack Grealish comes into that category of just get him in now and win. He's experienced. He's won everything. He should be in that England side. Looking at Bellingham, won everything. Looking at Kane and what he's doing right now. Can't say he's won everything, Kane, but this season that will change, obviously. But then you're looking at Jack Grealish. Surely as a player, like, if you want someone for the big stage, he's your man. He has to be your man. A few comments coming in on this. Adam, Jack Grealish is spending too much time at clubbing. Clubbing it. Did you see that video of him coming out of the club drunk? He was all over the place. That won't keep him fit and sharp, will it? Look, this is what I mean. You knew what you were buying in Jack Grealish. You knew what was necessary to keep him on the straight and narrow, and you tried to change him into something else. You cannot change some people. You cannot change some players. It worked for a little while, and then it's just fallen off again. And now I think he's going back into his old way. I think he needs someone to get a grip of him, and I don't think Pep in his situation and what he's dealing with City right now is right for Jack Grealish, and I think it's only going to make it worse for him. I would take Grealish over Bruno. No, I disagree with that one, Jay. I think Bruno provides more. I'm not saying that he isn't as good a player, but I think he's a different type of player is what I'm saying on that one. Grealish, why bring a Maverick who would pick up the ball and run at the defence and then tell him to play ticky-tappy football? Doesn't make sense. Should have gone to United. It would have been a miles better fit, Martin. Totally agree with that comment there in the live chat. But I just think that looking at the situation right now, I look at Foden's form. He doesn't warrant being in that England side. I look at Rashford's form. He doesn't warrant being in that England side. There are too many players in there that are just automatic picks, in my opinion. And this is where Tuchel is going to go wrong. Maybe in coming out and being honest and what he said about Foden and Rashford means that they don't play in the Latvia game on Tuesday. And maybe that's him learning very, very quickly that these players aren't the players that they once were. They need to go and rediscover themselves. And I think they need a clip around the ear. I think they do need a reality slap. Because they feel like they can just walk into that England side. And again, it's a situation that's developed by the FA in doing what they've done and the approach that they've gone with for England right now. And Thomas Tuchel coming in and feeding into that and going, right, I just need to bring players in now that are actually going to do the job for me. Like Henderson. Are you absolutely shitting me? Honestly, why is Jordan Henderson in this England setup? I understand the leader side of things. I do. I totally get it. I understand it, and I know you've got to do it for the big occasion, the big hurrah over in the USA 2026. It's going to be one of the biggest World Cups ever, and you need leaders in that side. I get it. Have you not got leaders in that side, though, already? You've got Harry Kane. You've got Jude Bellingham in there. You'll have Harry Maguire, I'm guessing, as well in there. I think Tuchel will bring him in as well. Jordan Pickford's probably one of the most experienced goalkeepers out there right now. You have got leaders all over that squad already. You need to be picking the right players that fit in to that squad. You need to be picking the best team, not the best players. And on paper, picking the best players is not going to win you a tournament. Spain have proved that. Italy have proved that. Germany have proved that. You need to develop a squad over time. And I think England have given up on their plan. I think they've given up on St. George's Park with this and what's happening right now. I'm not saying that England won't win the World Cup. I just don't think they will. Looking at the other teams, I think the other teams are better and better organised. And Tuchel hasn't got a lot of time to gel a load of egos together because that's what it looks like. I'm just hoping that he's realised very quickly that just having the best players out on the park doesn't necessarily guarantee you winning a trophy and winning a competition. He's not got enough time, is all I'm saying. He's not got enough time, and I don't like this approach. I don't like this approach. I was for it at the start in bringing Tuchel in, but I think Tuchel needed to be a longer project. I think he needed time to harness these players into a way that he wanted. He needed to be on maybe a 2-tournament contract for me, but this is just quick fire, and I think some players are going to miss out because of it. And I just don't like the way it's looking. Must say that Palmer kid is some quality player. I never see him give the ball away, and he knows how to find space all the time. Look, Cole Palmer, that's a player right there that definitely needs to be in that England fold and playing for England. He needs to be one of the starters. I think he is one of our better players. And you've got your guaranteed starters there, haven't you? You've got your Bellingham, you've got your Kane, you've got your Cole Palmer, and then you're picking from the others, really. And I don't know who else you put in. I mean, you've got Bellingham pretty much in behind Kane. Kane's your main front man. I think Palmer being one of the wider players, and then one more. I would like to see Gordon. That would be my front. That would be my front four for England. Bellingham, Palmer, Gordon, Kane. That, I think, is a real dynamic and I think diverse sort of England's front line there. I think that there would be an absolute, that's a worldie front line for me. And they're the best players in the Premier League and in Europe right now. Some of the best anyway. We've got Bellingham now finding his feet again at Real Madrid after a poor start to the season. I think he's a must. I'm benching the likes of Foden and Rashford. Get out, get on the bench, earn your corn, fight for your place back in the side, is what I'm saying with them two. And the players that really do deserve to be in that side are the likes of Palmer, Gordon, Kane, Bellingham. That's England's strongest side, I think. I do believe that Gibbs White should be in the England fold. If you want a leader, there's a captain of Nottingham Forest. He should be in there. I don't know why he's not being thought of as someone that's knocking on the door. He's been brilliant again this season. There's lots of players there for England to choose from, and there's talent everywhere. Look, I want to move on to the last part of the show. I want to make a beeline, not necessarily for Liverpool, but some worrying stories going around in Liverpool. The exodus of the summer. And the story is reading, obviously you've got the big names that we know about. The future of Mo Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Virgil van Dijk. The out-of-contract Big Three has been a subplot for the whole of Arne Slot's debut campaign, and it is no longer unthinkable that all three will leave and be followed out of the Anfield exit door by a number of others. Namely 12 Liverpool players leaving Liverpool. Is this a thank you Slot, win the Premier League, and next season the fall off? Will Arne Slot be judged next season properly because he's losing the Jurgen Klopp team and he's now going to have to create his own team going into next season? Is this where the real critique and test for Arne Slot comes in? Because the stories in the papers today and the story going around this is this exodus and what it says there. The likes of Mo Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Virgil van Dijk all look set for the exit door, and they could be followed out of the exit door by a number of others. We're talking Ibrahima Konate, Luis Diaz, Kelleher, Harvey Elliott, Joe Gomez. All of these players are looking to be sold, possibly, or leave Liverpool in the summer. And added to that as well, the Darwin Núñez situation and the fallout with Klopp there on that. Diogo Jota seem to be moving on as well. Can you replace that much quality? Looking through them names already. Mo Salah, no, one of the Premier League greats. There is no one you can bring in right now that's going to replace Mo Salah. And this is just me looking in from the outside. And tell me in the chat if you feel like there is a player that they could bring in that is going to give you everything that Mo Salah does. Give him a 2-year deal on whatever wages that he wants. Keep him at the football club. He is fit as a fiddle and a model pro. I cannot get it into my head how Liverpool don't see this as the right move. I really don't. I understand the wage structure and everything like that, but there comes a point when you've got such a brilliant player in your squad who has earned his way to that contract that you have to give it him. If it's 2 or 3 year deal, that's all he's looking for. Give him that 300 odd plus grand a week contract. He's earned it. And no player in that squad could come back and challenge Liverpool on this and say, look, while he's on that, hang on a minute. Mo Salah has consistently hit numbers beyond belief season after season. He has to be given that contract. I just don't get it. And as a United fan looking in at the Liverpool situation, I think Liverpool fans will be in the same sort of thinking on this. Who comes in and replaces Mo Salah? You're losing Trent. So you're going to go out into the market and try and find another right back. I think, obviously, you've got Bradley there as well who can come in, but he isn't going to give you the creation of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Virgil van Dijk. Is there a centre-back out there that replaces him? No, he's the best on the planet. And it kills me to say that because I've always argued against Virgil van Dijk, but he is an absolute Rolls-Royce beast of a defender. But they're the big ones. But when you're losing them players and you're looking necessarily to develop a team around new players replacing them big names, you cannot afford to lose the players that work alongside them. Konate at the back. That's been Liverpool's best centre-back partnership for a while. Konate and Van Dijk, you cannot lose both. This is suicide mode for Liverpool, this. Luis Diaz, look, I think Liverpool fans would feel like there is a replacement for Luis Diaz if they get good money, which is reportedly between 60 and 70 million of Barcelona is the story going around. And yeah, I could see that. I'm not too concerned about that one. Harvey Elliott, I mean, you can't lose too many academy players. This is a player that's worth his weight in gold for Liverpool in terms of his position in that squad and coming on and doing a job. What is going on with these contracts at Liverpool right now? If I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm excited because we're about to win the league, but I'm dreading next season right now. You're losing your soul. Joe Gomez, another young player. Kelleher, second, one of the best goalkeepers in the league. It can't get in ahead of Alisson because he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. That's another quality squad player that you're losing for Liverpool there right now. Nunes, obviously, is Nunes. We know you can replace Nunes. You get good money for him and replace him. Jota, I wouldn't be looking to move Jota on. I think he's another player that you just need in and amongst it. He's happy to play his part as a second part player. I mean, I don't know personally, he might not, but it looks like from the outside, he is a player that does look like he's happy to be in and amongst it there, but that's a lot. That is a lot to lose for Liverpool. And that's the question I want to ask the chat right now. Do you feel like this is going to be the real test for Slot? Do you feel like Liverpool can lose all of these players? That's the one that I'm concerned about for Liverpool fans. Well, as a United fan, I'm not as concerned, obviously, because it helps us going forward. But as a Liverpool fan, surely Manchester United right now, sorry, as Liverpool fans, surely they're looking at this, not United, surely they're looking at this right now and going, I am concerned. In the midst of what has been a great season, it could be overshadowed by the concern of what is to come. And I would be worried. I would be worried. And you look at, and I've said this before, there are quality players out there. For instance, Wirtz there. I can see Tomo from Thailand talking about Wirtz. Well, if he goes to Bayern Munich, there's a good quality player that Liverpool should have been all over and getting. You've got PSG buying up players right now. Real Madrid, Barcelona. Obviously, you've got Manchester City looking to rebuild the squad as well. You've got other powers coming in like Chelsea and how they're treating the system. If Newcastle do get themselves into the Champions League and the new sponsorship through ownership situation, which is going to be won by Manchester City in their case, where the Premier League comes in, Newcastle have got power beyond everybody else, then all of a sudden Liverpool start to fall away. They start to drop. I just think you cannot afford to lose these. I don't see Salah, Virgil van Dijk will leave. Nunes, Jota, Diaz will be sold this summer. We also get a left-back and a centre-back, says Onakunal 007. I can never say that name. Sorry, mate, but I'll get you. Kelleher, they bought the wrong goalkeeper from Spain. Grief is better. I don't think anybody can even argue with the quality of Kelleher, to be honest, Gareth. He's been outstanding. Can't see Liverpool are paying daft wages. They'll rather invest in younger talent, but they're about to lose some of that younger talent as well. That's the issue. You're losing your soul a little bit here, I think, in Liverpool, and what Liverpool really stands for and is, and what they've got over a lot of football clubs in the Premier League. And that's what I think. That's what I think is going to hit them harder than anything else. And it is going to be a tough all season for Arne Slot. He's going to be judged on his transfers for the first time because he's got away with it this year. He's inherited the Jurgen Klopp team and he's got them to win the Premier League. Well done. Massive, massive congratulations. And that is no mean feat by that. The level that they've played at this season has been ridiculous in the league. To only lose one game is phenomenal. Yes, they've dropped clangers in the FA Cup and they've been beaten well in the Champions League. But still, well done. But he's not had the pressure of people judging his signings. He's never really been tested at a big club in making big signings. This summer, I think everything will come home and everybody will really look at the real Arne Slot in terms of what he's done and what he's managed at Liverpool. I think this is the ultimate test now for Arne Slot and Liverpool. And I think an absolutely mammoth transfer window for them this summer. And I will be intrigued to see how Liverpool go this summer in terms of what they do and who they bring in, because you are leaving out, you are losing some absolute raw quality and legends of your football club if you let them go. It's idiotic is the word I would use for Liverpool to let go the likes of Mo Salah. I don't know with Virgil van Dijk. I think you need to keep him. And I think you'll probably find a couple of the other players will re-sign on as well. Honestly, it's scary for Liverpool fans, I think, right now, looking into the summer anyway, looking into next season. But look, please give the video a like, everybody. If you haven't already, we've gone over 50 likes. Thank you, legends. I love you all. And yeah, we will be back throughout the week. We've had a week off from Football Talks this week. We had a lot to do, but the content will be back this week and build up to the Premier League kickstarting again for its last third of the season, quarter of the season, I should say, actually. Starting next weekend. So yeah, the weekend has been quiet with not much going on. We've covered everything in the papers this morning there, pretty much of significance. Talk to me about Jack Grealish, the England squad. Should Tuchel forget about the prima donna players and just start building a team that he thinks is fit for the future? Is aiming for winning the cup and a ready-made fixed team of experienced quality players good enough? Is that the right way to go about it? And what will happen to Liverpool next season? Is this summer the real test for Arne Slot? Get into the comments section and talk to me, everybody. Massive thank you to you all for joining me on the show. I will be back later on this evening on FUTV where I'll get you updated on Kazzy's big game today in the league. We've got a massive game for Winton Wanderers today, so I'll keep you all updated on that later on in the live show. Go back and check the other content on FUTV through the weekend as well if you haven't already. And I'll see you all later on, everybody. Have a fantastic Sunday. Enjoy the day off, more importantly. And get your comments in below. Cheers, everyone.